All right, guys, welcome back to the Joe Danger Show. In this episode, I'm going to show you 10 of my most memorable moments spearfishing caught on GoPro. So starting us off at number 10, this was a truly memorable experience, probably one that I'll never get to see again. This was in Mexico off the Baja Peninsula. Just thousands of mahi schooling, swimming circles around our boat. Not exaggerating, thousands of them. It was unbelievable. I think I shot one fish all day, and you can see it was this, probably 25-pound mahi. Made a good holding shot, and I'd never shot a big mahi like this before, and I was actually really surprised at how hard they fought. But he did a good job trying to wrap me up in the line, doing circles around me. But you can see the guys are down there just taking it all in, not even really hunting, just hanging out with the mahi and watching them swim circles around us. I think this one had like 10 or 12 sardines crammed in his stomach. But number 9, this is a cobia. This is one of my first big fish, I'd say. So excuse the kookiness, but this is probably a 10-foot dusky that rolls in. He had a couple cobia with him. I'm with my buddy Clay. You can see I only had one band loaded on my gun, but we both shot right at the same time. Both made pretty good holding shots. And I think during the fight, one of the shafts pulled out. You can see Clay's doing a great job fighting it. I have no idea why my knife is out. I'm trying to stab it there. That's definitely not what I should have been doing. But we did get a knife in this fish, and were able to subdue him and get him back to the boat. You can see Clay's doing a heck of a job keeping that cobia from wrapping around his legs. But these fish are nuts. They always fight to the bitter end. So number 8, this is a permit. This is in South Florida. There's a pretty funny story behind this. My wife Emily had my spear gun, and we were going to help her shoot an almaco jack that we could see from the surface. But right when she was about to dive, this permit swam up, and I could see him from the surface. So I took the gun from her hand, made it drop, made a good holding shot. And I don't know what it is about these fish, if it's the way they grunt or the flashiness to them. But they always attract sharks and Goliath grouper. This specific area is just loaded with bull sharks and Goliath grouper, so we made sure to keep an eye on it. You can see he jumps and he's splashing it. Again, like cobia, permit, they fight to the bitter end. And fortunately, I had a good shot in him, and it was a pretty quick fight, and no sharks came in. Not sure exactly what I'm doing here, but that was my personal best, 33 pounds, I believe. So number 7 is an almaco jack, speared in Costa Rica. Unlike the Atlantic amberjack, almaco jacks are delicious. They've got white meat and super fun to hunt. This guy came in really close. I think when I shot him, the shaft was still in my spear gun. You can see here's CJ's perspective. He followed me down on this dive. But we had a float line we were running, and on the way up, I could see Eric actually getting pulled under, which is pretty funny. Number 6, this is an African pompano, speared on the East Coast. This was, honestly, this is a dive I regret. I was already at the end of my breath hold. I was probably at 70-something feet. I could see these 2 APs coming in, and I pushed it deeper, probably to 80, 83 feet. Made a great shot, but you could see I had no energy to fight this fish and just wanted to get up to the surface. So I hit him with the old Florida free spool. Definitely not textbook spearfishing, but heck of a fish, and they're stove pulling him in the boat, and there's whitey tighties. Number 5, red snapper. This is in Louisiana. I absolutely love diving these rigs, but you do have to be careful, especially on the way up. You don't smash your head, and pretty sharky and murky water, but loaded with fish. And on this dive down, you can see there's just snapper everywhere, and I'm looking for a good one. And out of the abyss comes a nice red snapper. Made a great holding shot. I was deep on this one. It was probably deep for me, probably 80 feet. And I did my best to keep him out of the rigs, but he wrapped me up. And fortunately, Stove went down and did a 100-foot dive to extract this fish, but you could see the sharks had already gotten to it. But still, pretty cool fish, pretty cool memory. Number 4, this is a cobia. I actually speared this in St. Pete, and we don't see too many cobia around here. I mean, you'll get them in the spring and the fall, but this was, I think, middle of the summer. The water was crystal clear. We had just done a bunch of line diving. I was diving great, and just following down this little piece of chum, and we were in over structure in about 120, 130 feet. And you can see, I think some yellow jacks. Yeah, here you go. There's some yellow jacks coming in, just some small guys. And I'm just kind of enjoying the dive and checking out the yellow jacks. And then right behind them was a nice cobia, which was super surprising. Made a great holding shot. And these fish, like I mentioned before, they fight like crazy, and he's thrashing. You can see this sandbar shark come in from my right, so I kind of swerved to the left there. And then on my way up, I think we'll get to it, but if I remember right, the Goliath grouper came all the way up from the bottom to try to steal this fish. But cobia are delicious. There's so many different ways you can cook them. You can make sushi with them and do all sorts of things. So always a treat to put one of these in the boat. You can see Emily was with me there, my buddy Pete. And there's that big Goliath coming up all the way from the bottom. Fortunately, he didn't want to eat that cobia, but you know, he could have sucked it down in one bite for sure. I'm trying to wrestle him at the very end here, get a knife into him, brain and bleed him, and get him to the boat. All right, number 3. This is a quick clip. My GoPro is not on, but CJ followed me down to film. It's in Costa Rica. Put a good holding shot and a pretty, nice sized tuna, probably 80-pounder. And as he's swimming off, my bands get wrapped, called a muzzle wrap. So I had 2 options: either try to pull the fish, which wasn't going to happen, or let go of my gun. So I did the latter, and off went my gun, but we were fortunately able to land the fish and retrieve the spear gun. So, all right, number 2. This was my personal best African pompano. I still got the Gayutaku on my wall. I think he went 45 pounds, bled and gutted. Just a tank of an AP. And this was like when the stars aligned. The viz was perfect. I think it was my second dive of the morning. Just made a dive to 70 feet and opened up, and boom, right there was two big APs actually. You'll see it here in a second. These fish are delicious. I love eating them raw, making nigiri with them, or even just putting them on the grill. One of my favorite fish to target. But yeah, like I said, this is when the stars align. Second dive of the day, right at, early in on my breath hold, bam, holding shot. You can see I hit the air bladder. That's why all the bubbles are pumping out of that fish. And just absolutely getting dumped here. Florida free spool yet again. Kind of strange celebration, but thought I'd get the boys up top some laughs. And yeah, you can see Stove's got a rainbow runner he had just speared, and sometimes, action brings action. You shoot a small fish and it brings the bigger fish up to see what's going on. And again, this is why you always dive with buddies. Both of my buddies are going down to check and see if the shaft is through and it's a good holding shot. I don't think it was a good holding shot, so Stove put a second shot in, like a good dive buddy, and we ended up getting this fish to the boat. You can see he still had a remora on him. That's how big he was. But yeah, got him to the boat. All right, number 1. This is a striped marlin in Mexico. I had missed a marlin probably an hour earlier and was kind of ticked off about that. So on this one, I just aimed center body mass, put a holding shot in him. And I fought him for about 10 minutes, and eventually was able to get my hands on him. And in this situation, what you want to do is brain the fish, put him out of his misery, and dispatch him, because you don't want that bill waving around and potentially cutting you. But this clip right here went kind of viral online, and I got a bunch of flack for it, but not really sure what else to do here besides put the fish out of his misery. And for the record, marlin is specifically striped marlin is incredibly delicious. We ate it a million different ways. We smoked it, we ate it raw, grilled it. So none of this fish was wasted. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Joe Danger Show. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you did. We've got a lot more videos in the works, so stay tuned. Thanks as always.